hello to everyone. My name is Zuzanna and this is another live in the live harp lesson series. Every Friday, mini harp lessons for free with me here on Instagram and on Facebook. Let me just move my phone a little bit so I can fit better into the screen. First and most important news of today is that, in case you didn't notice, but I don't suppose anyone who's got Instagram or Facebook or even email account couldn't notice that today is Black Friday, and I'm very pleased that that's first Black Friday where I will be able to offer something to you as well. I'm incredibly excited about that, and here's a word. I totally get that a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed today by all the sales, offers and promotions, and you just can't stand yet another email that you will get in your inbox about Black Friday and about offers and about codes and stuff like that. But me myself today, something that made me think, I got an email from one small company that I am buying from, and they said something along those lines. This is our first Black Friday. We're incredibly excited. We won't be sending you any more emails because we know that you're getting so many of them. In fact, the title of the email, the subject of the email was "We are sorry," which of course made me open it. I realized that, but it made me think how a small company like my one-person business can feel when we are on one hand really excited about being able to take part in something that we were until this moment just watching from the outside, and yet we are aware how annoying it can be for many people that it's just yet another email about sales and promotions and stuff. So please understand how happy I am about this, and if you don't want to buy the Christmas carols, which will be on offer today, then that's fine. But for those of you who missed the special offer, which was just for the newsletter subscribers last week, or for those of you who heard about them for the first time, this is the day to get them at a slightly lower price. So if you use the code BLACK15, doesn't matter capital or small letters, but there is no gap between black and 15, you will get 15% off automatically applied to the price of carols. The code expires at midnight, and the Christmas carols are available as an instant download PDF file. If you want to get more info about the carols, on Instagram you can go to the link in my bio. On Facebook I will add this link to the description of the live, but also if you follow the link which is already in the description, that will take you to where all the links are to the carols. And otherwise Facebook cover photo will also work. There is also a link there. If you want to learn more about the carols, on that page you will be able to listen to the recordings, to see a preview of one of the carols, but I also was talking a lot more about them in lives number 26, that was 2 weeks ago, live lesson 25, live lesson 23, and you can see all those lessons not only here on Facebook, well, not anymore on Instagram, but when you go to my website and go to the resources tab, that's where all the video lessons are, with the descriptions, with extra PDF materials. That's where you will find everything. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime, and I forgot to say completely, let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me alright, because I will feel quite sad if I have to repeat all of that again. So if you could just send a heart on Instagram or send an emoji on Facebook, that will be most appreciated, just so I know that you are there and that you're enjoying being here. Okay, let me have a sip of tea. That's actually a really lovely tea that I'm having today. And let's move on to today's topic, which is a rather unusual topic, I realize, and as I said, it may raise a few eyebrows from all the harpists who know that, of course, we only use our 4 fingers to play, and little finger is normally the redundant finger which doesn't play the harp. And of course, in the older days, as they say, the harpists used to, most likelihood, they used to play the little finger. This was because the harp strings tension previously in older instruments was much lower, and it was much easier to use that finger, which is normally a bit weaker than the others, and use it to play the harp. Even nowadays, harpists who play other types of harps than a modern lever harp or the modern pedal harp. Although I'm not sure, maybe on modern lever harp there are also techniques which include playing the little finger. From what I know, not really. But I know that, for example, on Paraguayan harps, you are perfectly fine to use your little finger, and I think if you watch videos of most of the Paraguayan harpists, Edmar Castaneda is the one who comes to my mind, but I don't want to say for sure that he plays with little finger. But what I wanted to say is that you may see some harpists who play the harp and still use little finger. However, most of the harp books and harp teachers, let's call it sort of mainstream harp, does only use the 8 fingers, not the little finger. So why that topic today? If you can use it, that's fine. If you can't use it, that's also fine. But why talking about this so much? So little finger can be very useful for us because by watching its behavior, we can tell quite a lot about the general state of our hand. For example, I see quite a lot of students, usually adult beginners, who close really nicely all their fingers, but their little finger either stays extended like that, or it does this sort of thing. And to me that's a sign that even though I see all the fingers closing and possibly also releasing, that there is a little bit of tension in the hand which is still there. So that's a useful sign for me as a teacher, but it could be also a useful sign for you as a player that your hand didn't relax completely. And it's quite important to work on that. I know that at the beginning when playing the harp, you've got lots and lots of stuff to remember about, and when you're thinking elbows up, thumbs up, pressing on the strings, fingers pointing down, and then when someone tells you relax, then there's not that much more that you can do. But that's why I've prepared some quite easy and relaxing exercises which hopefully will help you with that. So there will be 5 of them. You will find the music for these exercises in the downloadable PDF. It's already available on the website. The link is there on the Facebook. On Instagram you will find it in the resources section of my website when you follow the link. And that's 2 pages with explanation. I don't know if Instagram can see well enough, and music examples written out. So let's carry on with exercise number 1, and that will be a very simple exercise inspired by Betty Parrett's first harp book, where we place our thumb on one string. Doesn't really matter about the notes, but I've picked middle C, which is being featured quite heavily along these exercises just because it's easy to read and find. So 4-finger goes on middle C, thumb goes on F, quite high and a nice lovely space between the 2 fingers. Also a word of explanation, I just realized that if you see what I can see, you probably see all those pink traces on my harp. This is because I have a few students who are working very patiently on being able to play in the middle of the string, so we painted actually together those little markings on the harp with Sharpies, with permanent marker. And a word for those of you who are concerned, even though it says it's permanent marker, we need to repaint them every 3 or 2 weeks, so nothing to worry about the harp. So thumb over the pink dot, 4th finger well below the dot, and we're holding on to our thumb, and then we're playing the 4th finger. So we're pressing a little bit, sorry that was a bit too quick, pressing on the string for a nice sound, closing our finger and immediately releasing. Someone pointed out to me recently that I'm not showing enough of that release movement. So just a note for you, that it's important not only to close your fingers but also to release. At the beginning it might feel like a whole separate movement that you have to do, but after a while you will feel that it's a whole one movement, plucking and then letting your finger bounce off. So that's the first exercise. I would count 1, 2, 3, 4 and repeat a few times that first bar. Then I would move my thumb a string higher to G, repeat again and repeat with all those intervals going all the way to the octave, so moving your thumb a string at a time until you reach an octave, and then you go again, 4-finger press, close, release. Okay, Then let's move on to the exercise number 2. In that exercise we will use also fingers 2 and 3. We are going to place the thumb again on F, second on E, third on D, fourth on C, and we're going to pluck again the fourth finger, pressing, closing, releasing. And then in that exercise I'm suggesting 4 other patterns, 4 other strings where you can put your 3 to 1 fingers, with 4 fingers staying on C, and they roughly follow the shape of the dominant 7 chord. So we've got the dominant 7, we've got the first inversion, second inversion, and third inversion, sorry. But you can of course come up with any other patterns. It can be also a pattern of an arpeggio, first inversion, second inversion, and so on. You've got many combinations when you put your 4 fingers on the harp. But again, follow the same advice of pressing on the string, relaxing, releasing the finger, and then always check how your little finger is doing. You would want your little finger to work together with your 4th finger, so closing where your 4th finger is closing, releasing when your 4th finger is closing. You don't want to see your little finger staying like that, or you don't want your little finger to do something like that either. I also see sometimes little finger going like that over the 4th, and of course everyone has very individual conditions. I remember I had a student who I think had her little finger broken, and therefore the joints were aligned in a different way than normally, and then of course you just need to allow for any injuries that happened, and your hand might not look like mine, but just try to look out for the signs of tension, and then just try to open your hand and relax. What also helps me, just hanging on the strings, maybe releasing that 4th finger, but just hanging on the strings and moving the hand around a bit, just maybe even leaving just the thumb on and wiggling your fingers a bit. It's all just to feel that your hand has the space to breathe, that it's not a tense position. We're always looking for balance, not for one rigid position to be in, but just a healthy way to be able to move your hand around and play. And then we will be moving on to exercise number 3, where we again have only 4th finger and the thumb. Oh, and I forgot to say, with all those exercises I'm only showing you the right hand because it's more visible, but try to also make sure that you practice your left hand. Left hand would do the same exercises, just an octave lower, because it's a bit easier for the left hand to be an octave lower. So exercise number 3, we will put our 4th finger on middle C, thumb on high C, so we've got an octave between them, and then we would be plucking the 4th finger, releasing, relaxing, and then plucking the high note, and repeating that a few times. And then the other way, plucking the thumb first, and then 4th, and releasing. Then moving on to exercise number 4, after you've repeated the same exercise with your left hand. Your left hand might be quite tricky to observe, but you can do what I'm just doing. You can put a phone or a recorder device in front of you, or a mirror. An old-fashioned mirror will work perfectly fine offline as well, and then you can just see what your little finger is doing here. Then exercise number 4 will be almost exactly the same as that, but we will put our 4th finger back on the strings after playing. So we play the 4th finger, close and relax, we put it back on that string, we pluck the thumb, release, we pluck the 4th finger, release, repeating a few times. In the PDF, that's why your first note is written down as a quaver, followed by a quaver rest. So if you want to give it a bit more of a rhythmic feeling, then you can go 1 and 2 and 3 and you can use the end to relax and release. Then going the other way around, playing the thumb, and 2 and 3. And yeah, sorry, it's quite hard to count, talk and play at the same time. That was basically the opposite version of that exercise. And again, you can repeat exactly the same thing with your left hand, going thumb and 4th finger, playing the thumb 1 and on end you're supposed to open and place your finger back, then play and 3 and okay. And the last exercise will be placing the thumb and forefinger together again in a space with a space of an octave between them, and squeezing both fingers, plucking and releasing. And then you can either repeat the same octave a couple of times, or you can just go up the strings and carry on playing all the octaves on your way. Okay, so as you could see, all those exercises were featuring very heavily the fourth finger, so just make sure that you take lots of breaks so you avoid getting any blisters on that fourth finger. Remember that you don't have to play very loud, it's about squeezing before and then releasing with control. And I just wanted to alert you that even though I said that little finger should work together with fourth finger most of the times, closing or releasing, you will probably find that there are many more situations where that little finger will show you that something is maybe off with your hand, that there is some tension. So try to watch out even moments where you're playing your second finger on its own. Even when you play second finger on your own, you still want to keep your thumb nice and high with lots of space, and you want to close your whole hand, so all fingers closing like that inside the hand. You don't want your fingers to curl or your hand to do something like that. You want them to go relatively straightish inside and bounce right off. Quite a good exercise that I like to do before playing or just as a part of my warm-up is just closing my fingers. I don't know if you can hear that sound. I'm pretending that I'm clapping with one hand, but it's quite a good one to feel what you want your hand to do when you're playing the harp. Then other situations where you want to watch out for your little finger, chords with thumb and second finger, where you will also want your whole hand to close. So if you're doing my warm-up routine from the live, I will need to find the live number for you, but there was one live lesson about the warm-up routine. Then also watch out for your little finger, that it closes with all the other fingers like that, and then it releases. Also chords with one and third finger, you not only want your second finger to stay low, but all the other fingers to close and open. And any patterns where you're starting and going up from third finger or fourth finger, so going up, yeah, so just making sure that your little finger, even though it doesn't close completely inside the hand, even if it doesn't touch the palm of your hand, that it doesn't stay like that when you play patterns like 3-2-1 or 4-2, oops, you see it closed on its own, but what you don't want to see is that little finger sticking out or doing something like that when you will be playing patterns like 3-2-1 or 4-2-1 going up. Yeah? Let me know. I'm really curious to hear whether you were ever taught anything about little finger in the lessons, apart from the fact that you don't use it to play. Also, one anecdote just to finish today's lesson. It's quite a good thing that we have one finger that we don't play, because as you all know, when you play the harp a lot, you will get a layer of hard skin on your fingertips called calluses. And that may change the sound of a string quite a bit. So I know of some harpists, quite famous harpists in fact, when they wanted to go for a really soft sound on their harp, they were using that little finger because the skin on that finger was still intact and was giving a very different sound quality from all the other fingers which had a very hard skin. I think I have also heard about someone who was playing the Ravel piano concerto, where there is this magical harp cadenza with glissandi in the right hand, with left hand playing harmonics. And I think I know about a harpist who used the little finger to play that cadenza for even more soft and beautiful sound. I can see a message from someone. Christie's Music Studio. I never get calluses. That's very good for you. I think then your sound will probably be very different from someone who does. I've got quite a very soft skin on my hands at the moment because I had a period of not playing that much, and it's definitely a different sound. So there are benefits of one and the other. I was wondering, Christy, if you don't get calluses, do you find blisters a problem? Just curious, just wondering, because calluses, of course, are there to protect your skin. So just wondering. Yeah, I was supposed to be finishing just now, but waiting for Christy's reply, or you can send it to me as a private message. It's just my own curiosity about calluses and blisters. For everyone else, I'm going to see you next week. Please remember about your Black Friday discount. You will get 15% off the carols today if you type the code BLACK15 at the checkout, so do remember that. If you would like to make sure that you will never miss this or other similar opportunities, sales and promotions, do sign up to my newsletter. If you sign up to my newsletter, you will get access to PDF from this lesson and all other harp lessons. So apart from watching me in the videos showing you the exercises, you will have them all printed out nicely. They can land on your music stand straight away. I can see that Christy replied, if I play long enough, eventually my fingers crack and bleed. Oh, that's really sad. Oh no, we don't want our fingers to crack and bleed. Christy, do watch my video about blisters. It was the live harp lesson. Again, I will need to find the number, but if you scroll down, I think it was around numbers 13 or 15, something like that. Because I'm talking a lot about why some people may get more blisters than the other, and what can we do to prevent them, apart from, of course, practicing regularly and starting to practice with little periods of time and gradually making your practice sessions longer and longer. But there are also some other tricks that you can do if you have problems with your fingers cracking and bleeding. I was talking a bit more about that in that video. Okay, we'll be finishing here. I wish you all a very lovely weekend. I hope you will survive the influx of the emails to your inboxes this Black Friday, and I hope you will also get some good deals if you are after anything in particular that you would like to get cheaper this weekend. And I will see you next week at the same time. Make sure that you put the Christmas carols in your baskets if you haven't done that already, and if you want to have some Christmas harp music, nice Christmas harp music to play this Christmas. Okay, all the best, and I'll see you next week.